What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the second part of the addition to the Pathfinding. But before we start coding, please don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button. It helps out the channel a lot. Cheers. Now, let's pick up where we left off in the last episode. And now we go to our editing class, where we have, when we click a mouse button, or whenever we click on the level and we have a selected tile active, we change that tile, etc, etc. But our ID will be -1 and -2. So in this method, where we first check if the selected tile is not null, then we check if selected tile dot get ID is equal or more than 0. Then we do all of this fancy stuff. If it's not, then it's one of the other ones. We enter this section. First we need to move these two into the first check here. Otherwise we're not going to be able to reach them in the second bracket. The first check here will be to find the ID and then check if that ID is a road tile. So first we're going to get the ID, which is int ID equals level and then the tile Y, tile X. And now we have the ID and we can check if game.getTileManager.get tile ID get tile type equal road tile. And I probably need to import this one. Let's see if it recognizes it. Nope. So we go up here, import static helps constants tiles. We can take all. No, we just take road tile. And now we know that the tile is actually a road tile, so we can place the start or the end of the path right here. I think the easiest way to solve this would be to add a new class in object called Pathpoint. And it will just be a simple constructor, public Pathpoint, and it will take in an x chord, int e chord, and it will have a private int x chord e chord, this dot x chord equals x chord, this dot y chord equals y chord, and some simple getters and setters. We're just going to make them quick with right click, source, and generate getters and setters. Select all, boom, generated. We might actually need the setters, so I'm going to keep them. And in here in our editing class, we're just going to add a private path point start end. I think that's going to be good enough. And then we import the class like so. And down here, before we initialize any one of them, we just ask if selected tile dot get tile type. Well, let's get ID is equal to -1. Then it's also the start. So start equals new path point. And we had an X and a Y. No, we didn't. We had a tile X, tile Y. Else it's not a start, it's an end. And equals like so. So now we have a start and an end. First we check if the tile is not null. If it's not null, then we check if it's a normal tile. If it's not, then we go down here. We get an ID from that position we're trying to place it at. If it's a road, and if it's a -1, meaning the start path, then we place the start path there. And if it's not, then we place the end path there. Good. And in our render, we're gonna have draw path points G. And it's going to do exactly what the name suggests. But we need to make sure if start is not equal to null, meaning it's been set, Then we draw that one, else, or we draw that one. Then we also check if end is not equal to null. Then we draw that one. But as of now, we don't have any images to draw. They are in our toolbar, right? At the very top, right? Buffered image, yeah, they are. So if they are in here, let's just add a getters here, because we're gonna be able to access the toolbar. So public buffered image get start path image return start. I think it was called something else though. It was called path start. All right, path start, and we do the same for the other one. Get start path image, get end path image, and then we return end. All right, so now we should be able to do this. G.draw image with width and height, like so. First we need the image, which was toolbar dot get start path image at the position start dot get x core times 32 start dot get y core times 32, and it's going to be 32 by 32, and oops, it's going to be null for that one, and do so. I think that's going to be good. Yeah, and the same for end, but instead start we go get end path image, and then we have end. All right, I think that's going to be good enough. And we can only have one of them. Perfect. We can only place them at the road, and so on and so on. So let's try and see how it looks. Go to edit, start, place it. All right, now it's there. If I click it here, it moves. All right, so let's say we want to start there and end there. All right, good. And the last part now would be to add these two positions into the level data, where we have all of this stored, what type of tile it is. So let's do that. And we do that by starting in our editing class and look for save data or save level. Here we have it, where we save the level, but not only do we pass in the name and the level data for the level, we also pass in the start and end position. And then we go down here to our save level, and we add a path point start, path point end, and save. Then we're going to need to import this class like so, and we continue down this path by passing in, we have the file, and then we have the array start end, and we're gonna copy that, go to write to file, pathpoint start, pathpoint end. All right, once we have passed in the entire ID array into the file, we're gonna add the starting positions and the end position. So pv dot print line, and here we pass in start dot get x chord. I'm actually going to copy this one 4 times. Start cut e chord and dot get x chord and dot get y chord, like so, and then we close it. So that should give us xy and xy for both of those positions, and then we save it. But we do have an error here in our create level, which we call when we, I think it's in game, our main class here. Create default level, yeah, that's when we create the default level, but we're gonna pass in, or actually not gonna pass in anything, because there is just the default level. So we wanna say new path point 0, 0, and yet another one. Alright, so now we have a default position for start and end. Now we need to go to our load default level, which is down here, creating a file. But we get the list from read from level file, check here, while it still has a line. So it's going to return entire list. Alright, so even if there is now 404 lines, it's going to return that 404 lines. So it's going to ignore the last 4 because we set the size 20 by 20. It creates a nested for loop that is 20 times 20 up here. So it's going to ignore the last 4 ones. Alright, that's good. Yeah, let's just make a public static array list. And this will return integer, no, path point. And it will be called get level path points. And of course we need a name, just like before. Take it so. We're actually gonna copy, we're gonna copy almost all of it. Like so, but instead of returning that one, we save it and we make a new array list path points, we call it, equals new array list. And then we simply add them into our points array, which will be points.add new path point. Let's make some space there, and then we say list.get, not 0, but 400, and then list.get 401. Because remember, it's the entire level plus the 4 points, or the 4 positions. So now we have the starting position. Then we simply copy it and go 402 and 403. And we end it by saying return points. Like so. Not that, return points. And here in editing, we would like to create an array list path points as well equals load save get path points, and we copy this entire section like so. And not path points, path point. Import array list like so, and then start equals points dot get 0, and then end equals points dot get 1. So now I think we are ready to try it. And we're getting an error right away because we're trying to get 404 or 400 right here. We're trying to get the index 400, but there's only index of 399. The starting positions are never added into this file from the start because we never saved the file in this new format. So we need to manually add it by going 0, 0, 0, 0, save that one and try to run it again. And it works. So if you run the game, we have a start and end position right here. Good. But let's switch them up. Let's save it, close it, run it again, edit, and now we have a starting position and an end position working. All right, good. Now we just need to make sure it works in playing as well. So let's go to our playing scene, and in here we should probably do everything identical as we did over here. So let's just copy this into our low default level. Copy the variables and save it. So now we have the starting position and end position. And we could pass these two variables into the enemy manager when we create it, or we could add some getters, and I think we're actually gonna pass them in, start, end. Then we go to the enemy manager class, and here we copy that one actually. We paste them like so, and with these two positions we're gonna actually store them, so we're just gonna copy the exact same thing. Start end, this dot start equals start, this dot end equals end, easy like so. And we're gonna change up this method right here. We remove those two variables, we create them in here, int x equals start dot get x chord times 32, int y equals start dot get y chord times 32. And I think that's going to work. Yes, the error disappeared, but we have an error up here. And all we have to do now is to decide what type of enemy we want, because the starting position has already been decided for us. Like so. Saved. And if everything is working now, then the enemies should all spawn in the same position. So they will overlap, but they will all start in this corner, correct? And then they will move all the way over to here. But we have not yet decided if they are at the end, and we do that by if enemy.getX equals end.getX chord times 32, and if e.getY equals end.getX chord times 32, return true, otherwise return false. And if this one returns true, then it goes into this bracket. And we can say just a simple system.out.print line lives lost. Let's run it and see if it works. So it reached the end, but it does this weird loop. So let's check out and see if we can figure out why. Yeah, so I found a few issues. The first one is right here, is at end. We're checking e.getX equals the end getX. And then we have e.gety equals end.getX, which it shouldn't be, it should be y. We're gonna save that. And then we need to go to this function right here, or this method right here, update enemy move. So first we're trying to move, we check if the next tile is road. It's not, but we still haven't moved into the new tile perfectly. So this one will also return false. And then we come down here and we fix the enemy offset, which is down here. So now we have the actual end position. So we're gonna add another check here. If is at end enemy, then we just return. So we don't move, we just check if the new position is the end, and if it is, then we return and don't move the enemy. So let's check this, if this works. And I also changed up the level a little bit so it goes a bit faster to check whether or not this works. And it's working, perfect. So if this was a real tower defense, the enemies would despawn and also you would lose some life or health to your citadel or whatever you're trying to protect. But before I end this episode, we're just gonna take care of this orange box down here and make it fill the entire area. So back to our playing class, where we make our action bar or button bar. We're gonna say 160, just like the other one, the toolbar. And it shouldn't be called button bar, it should be called action bar. So right click, refactor, rename, action bar, enter, save. And running it now, entire bottom section should be orange. Perfect. Alright, I think it's time to stop this episode. We accomplished a lot in these last 2 episodes. We got all the enemies implemented and the pathfinding works as we needed to. I hope you enjoyed this update, and if you did, why don't you hit the like button and also subscribe so you don't miss out on the next episode. Thank you all for watching, and I wish you the best. I hope to see you in the next update as well. Bye.